Hello friends! This video is prompted by an assignment where I'm encouraged to teach a gentle yoga exercise for somebody who might have bipolar disorder. But know that this video may be beneficial for you no matter the official diagnoses or lack thereof for your own mental health. So today we're going to run through 3 tips for grounding and remaining present, perhaps especially when we feel ourselves gravitating towards particularly high highs or particularly low lows, coming back to a balance of those feelings and sensations. And I also don't want to shame anyone who maybe uses these tools and then still experiences a really high high or a really low low. Somebody who might feel an increase in mania versus a decrease. Everyone's situation is personal and individual. These are just a couple tools based in yogic practices that may be beneficial for that kind of emotional regulation and for also stopping a spiral. So this is also particularly helpful for people like me who have anxiety disorders, to kind of stop the spiral once we recognize that it's there. So I'm going to invite you to find a comfortable seat. I'm just doing this in my living room today. I'm doing this on my couch. But you could do this in an office chair. You could do this in your bed. I do invite you to, if you're in bed or something like that, to kind of swing your feet over or to find some way to kind of ground down through your legs. And this is actually our first tool, is to begin with the breath on a bit of movement. And then we're going to pause and we're going to release the movement and invite the legs to feel heavy. So on an inhale, I invite you to breathe in really, really deeply and to flex the legs. My personal favorite thing to do here is also to bounce the legs, maybe to kick them a little bit. Swimming motions through the legs might also be beneficial. So in some way, inhale and activate the lower half of the body. Then when you're ready to pause both your movement and your breath, and then exhale, let the lower half of the body feel heavy. We'll do this 2 more times. Big inhale. Pause. Big exhale. 1 more. Once you feel like the lower half of the body kind of settles, it feels heavy wherever it's making contact with your chair, with the floor, then we're going to do a similar thing through the arms. So take a big inhale, activate the arms. This can be movement, again, like a swimming movement, a shaking movement. It can also be flexing. It doesn't have to look like a lot of mobility. But same thing as before, big inhale and activation. Pause, big exhale. 2 more times. Last one. As your body is ready to, letting your arms and legs relax. We're going to move into our second practice, which involves really slow circles through the head and neck. So we're going to inhale, and we'll move with the exhale. So slowly, I invite you to look over one shoulder as you release a slow exhale. Big breath out. And then inhale and hold and pause. And then again, we'll move on the exhale. So whenever your body's ready to exhale, slowly bring your head back in center. We'll take a deep breath in. Full breath out, slow movement. Hold and inhale. Slow movement on your exhale. We'll take a couple more breaths here. You're welcome to stretch your neck differently. If it feels good to drop the ear towards the shoulder, maybe instead of taking the chin out past the shoulder. It may also feel good on one of those exhales to lift your chin up or to tuck your chin in. Wherever your body's at, I invite you to take another 2 to 3 breaths. Moving with those exhales. The next time that you exhale, slowly guide your head back in center. And then we'll move into our last yoga practice here. In any way that feels good to you, let your legs feel kind of heavy, let your arms feel kind of heavy, maybe let your shoulders slide a little heavily further down your back. And then I invite you to bring your eyes to one point. There's a couple different ways that you can find this one point. So for some people, it's natural, depending on the space that you're in, your eyes kind of gravitate towards a focal point anyway. But if you need to kind of get your bearings before your eyes focus in, know that you can look up and down and then side to side a couple times. We traditionally do this without moving the neck very much, so it's more of an eye stretch. Another way that you can do this is to think about your eyes taking a panoramic photo of your surroundings. And so you can kind of like scroll your panoramic photo up and scroll it down, or scroll it from one side of the room to the other side of your space. But when your eyes are ready to, and it's okay if they were ready right away, go ahead and settle in on one focal point. And we're going to pause here. Sometimes when we pause the eyes or pause the body, there's a tendency to want to pause the breath. But I'm going to invite you to continue to breathe pretty slow and fairly deep. You can also think about finding a resting breath. So if breathing those really deep yoga breaths is not something that feels centering, or it still feels kind of forced or pushed into the body or on the body, another great way to practice this is to think about a sleepy breath. So as though you were about to fall asleep, whatever kind of breath that naturally feels like. And it's okay if it's a little more shallow. It's usually still a little bit slower, which is excellent. Know that you can stay with this Drishti, this eye gaze focus, as long as it suits you. It may feel good as you focus to notice if you can kind of relax along your cheeks or along your jaw, maybe even the eyebrows. The face doesn't have to hold an expression while you're focused in on one point. And know that you can use any 3 of these tools or all 3 of these tools in tandem with one another. These 3 tools focus on 3 different kind of parts of our mental health experience and nervous system experience. So that first one was movement and activation. And the second one, which helps kind of expel energy, especially if there's like anxious energy building in the body. Our next experience focused on centering the body. So stretching through the neck, maybe rolling the shoulders back. That kind of helps us come back into the core or center of the body, which often feels centering and grounding. And then the third practice with the eye focus is actually a very, very simple meditation practice. It's one that we can do anywhere we're at. So I hope that between these 3 tools, whether you have bipolar disorder or not, you found something helpful that you can incorporate into your self-care. Thank you so much. Namaste.